Board of Selectmen approved the change orders.
Yes, it
Both.
was.
Terrific. Congratulations, John.
Oh,
You're-
that I'm still standing, barely.
Um,
Did Evan mention when they thought they'd be able to tackle that project of putting up the fence on the common?
no word on timing yet.
I suspect it's probably going to be the spring.
That would be my best guess too. We're gonna have to find a funding source. We have to get the pricing together for it. That's the
Okay.
first thing we
Um,
need to do.
but
I'm
so
not finding this.
able to get any money from the insurance companies?
Well, according to what Evan was saying, the insurance wouldn't cover fencing. And it wouldn't cover vegetation, which he said a tree is considered vegetation. And apparently it wouldn't cover brick either. So I'm at a loss to understand if somebody comes in and damages your property, no matter what it is, it's your property, that the insurance company wouldn't cover that. But I'm going to talk to my insurance agent and get some insight on that. But that's what I've been told by Evan, is that so they will cover the cost of the archway and the lantern, any of the electrical work that will have to be done to rehook it up. All that stuff should be covered. But the rest of it is, I guess maybe the trash barrel would be covered too.
I want
That's
to
right.
get back on the agenda since we have people that are joining
Yeah.
us.
And I can't find that blurb. Unless I can find another one here.
Okay, I'll look for it in a few minutes. Yeah, let's move on.
Do we technically have to read that, since, I mean, we don't technically have to have a Zoom meeting. We're just choosing to.
Yeah. I know when they moved to the hybrid meetings, they stopped doing it, but this one isn't hybrid, so I'm not sure.
Or
I
maybe
think
just make reference to it and
You-
it should be fine, I would imagine.
you need to do the attendance, any kind of voting by roll call, but everything else is dispensed with.
Okay.
So I think we have all members, all 7 members of the commission. And since we have a number of people from the library building committee, why don't we move right ahead and start discussing that project and the screens on the roof.
Like a plan.
John, who wants to?
So I'm not sure if Ken as the architect or Ron, who I think did a lot of the design work. Julie is one of the co-chair. And who else? Doug is there, he's right in front of me. Doug's a member of the committee as well. Beth as well. So Ken, you and Ron can decide who is going to speak first to kind of do a real quick summary. And then I think the members of the committee that have the concerns about the screening and or the cost need to be able to have a chance to speak.
Okay. Well, I went back and looked at our submission, and we did not show the air handling units on the roof plan. And basically, certainly my focus in designing the building was on the side of the building and the new addition. And that one small, back corner at the front of the building, I think because at the time there was some 3, I think, large trees in that area, and Ron actually has some photographs that, I basically didn't feel that what was there was sort of important. And I think with the trees being changed as they appear to have been, the unit on the roof is certainly visible. And the when the talk of screening came up, I don't remember where the idea of wrought iron came from, but that was certainly the approach that we took, was to take a detail from the front of the current building and apply that to a screen. Unfortunately, the cost of that screen is ridiculously high. So I think the committee, and I don't want to speak from the committee here, but they certainly have concerns about the cost. And so we've been looking at, are there any other ways of achieving the goal of the screen without the associated, extremely high expense? And
If I can interrupt for a second, is it possible for the host to allow me to share my screen?
I will try.
Sharing.
Let's see.
You have to enable participant sharing.
I'm gonna find you first. Here you go.
Yeah.
Change role to attendee.
As a panelist, I think you can share.
I tried, it won't let me.
Okay, so here
Because-
my chat, spotlight for everyone, make host, change role to attendee, rename, allowed to record local files, allowed to multi-pin, put on hold or remove. So that's,
Is there like a little shield that says security underneath it?
I think we found our new meeting host for Zoom.
Yeah.
Betsy.
Hey, Ron, do you have, if you go down to the bottom of your screen, do you have a share screen button?
Yeah. And it's green, and when I click on it, it says host has disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay.
Usually
Can
right
the
next to
host?
right next to the participants, there's like a little, on the left side of the participants, there's a little, like, it looks like a shield almost.
I'm not seeing that anywhere.
No, okay.
Okay. I'm trying to think of what else it might be. If the host either clicks on share screen and see what that does.
I don't see share screen anywhere.
If you move the cursor down
On the
the
bottom,
bottom edge,
underneath your picture.
No. Oh,
There
underneath
should
my-
be, it says participants, Q&A, chat, share screen, raise hand, record. See all those?
you got to move your cursor down.
Cursor, yeah.
Yeah, so what I down there is I have mute, I have stop video, up, share content. There we go.
Yeah.
Share content. Do we want screen, photos, iCloud Drive, Dropbox, OneDrive?
That's
share,
for you, I think.
I think
Yeah.
that's for you.
That's all for you.
Share video or share screen.
website, bookmark, ULI, Microsoft. Share.
What do the other little icons say?
Zoom, start broadcast, Microsoft off. Yeah, I tried to do this on a larger computer and I was having difficulty, so I, on my phone, which is what I've used before.
You may not be able to find it if you're using a phone.
Yeah, I think that's the problem, I think. Because I've pushed on everything that I can find.
All right, so we can't share. So Ron, maybe you
Okay.
can explain to us what we're going to show us.
Well, what I had queued up are some photographs taken in April from across the street on the common, looking at the front of the building. And from that view, in April, before all the leaves are on the tree, the rooftop unit is obscured by trees. And as you move from left to right, if you're facing the building, if you are in certain areas, yes, there are areas where you can see bits and pieces of it. If you stand at the sidewalk in front of the building, yes, you can see the units. We had proposed a few different options, two of which were solid screens, two different colors, one to match the brick, one to match the limestone. And then a third option, which turned out to be wrought iron, which doesn't mimic, but picks up the design of the wrought iron surrounds at the front windows of the existing library west elevation. And that's what everyone liked. And that's what we had priced out. And it was a ballpark price. But it was really a lot higher than we expected. So that said, Ken had worked out an option, a fourth option, which is a vinyl fence,
A PVC.
for lack of a better term. Go ahead, Ken.
Well, it's similar to what we have. The construction is similar to what we have at the new entry, where we
At the east entrance,
work.
yes.
And it's basically PVC, like AZAC type material, and they can run it through a sort of CNC machine and make cutouts as as we want. And so I've taken the diamond shape from the wrought iron and basically increased the dimension of it. So instead of it being 1/2 inch thick, it's now more like 2 inches thick, and created that same diamond shape with a little sort of ties, if you will, in the middle. And then put that in a simpler enclosure, which would be a top rail, a bottom rail, and then posts at every probably 7 or 8 feet, probably 7 feet apart, to create the screen. So the scale of it is bigger than what we had with the wrought iron, but it's mimicking the design from the little grills that go across the bottom of the windows on the front of the building. And then color-wise, it can be whatever color we choose. If you want it black, or to be sort of more in line with what's on the front of the building, we certainly have those options. But that we can duplicate the panels pretty quickly, because once they set the design into the machine just cuts out the shape. So we have flexibility in what those shapes are. So basically we design one panel and then repeat it. And it can be, as fancy as we'd like it to be. I chose to go with simple diamonds with sort of oval shapes at the intersecting points. And then that connects to the rails at the top and the bottom.
And how large would this be, Ken?
It would be like 42 inches high.
3.5.
Something like that.
Keep in mind, though,
How high was the wrought iron?
I think it was slightly higher.
Oh, really? Well, it could be higher.
Yeah. Keep in mind, though, that whether it's the wrought iron or the PVC, those designs are perforated. So you will see the unit behind it. And unless you go 7 feet tall, you will see the top of the unit above it.
Yeah, it's just to distract
That's
the eye
understood.
from it.
Right.
Right. I don't want to give I just want to make sure it's clear that you will see the units behind it. It's not a solid block.
Yeah, it is clear.
How do you secure that to the roof?
Well, you've got to modify the roof because you've got to have a secure anchorage and you've got to brace it as well. So we can attach to the wood blocking at the perimeter of the roof for the base of the posts. But then on the back of it, we would then need a diagonal strut.
Yep.
We would cut the roof out and fill that with blocking and bolt the whole thing down and then flash that brace.
And do you have any idea what that would cost?
No, but I have to believe it's a lot less expensive because
Yeah.
one, the hand labor obviously is for installing the fence. And you've got a mill workshop that will do certainly some of it. But the repetitive, the complicated part, which is the diamond shapes, that's all cut by computer. So we had 3 panels. Those could be cut by computer, and that's where the savings would occur.
Okay. Let's see. To the-
Well, this is John. I would think that we would need to see some sort of rendering. Of what
Yeah.
they're
Well, we have it.
We just can't see it.
It's pretty crude, Ron, but you could hold it. Do you have a printout of it or not?
Unfortunately, I don't.
Or you can, is your
I can-
camera connected to your laptop, or can you take your webcam off and point at the
Can you
screen?
send it to somebody that,
Yeah.
Let me see if
Bill,
let me
can-
see if I can do it, Ron.
Well, let me call it up on the screen.
Oops.
Do you think he could just email it to us?
Yeah,
So-
could you email it to John and then he could distribute it?
And the other comment I have is are there any examples that we would be able to see where this has been used?
We used it at the other entrance.
But I mean, no, let me be
Work
clear.
that we
Example
have.
similar to what you're proposing for screening of the HVAC, not.
Are you saying the material that, sorry, go ahead, John.
Have you used this concept in other screening applications, I guess,
No.
for roofing?
No,
Okay.
no.
All
And
right.
when you say it's at the other entrance, so it's down on the ground at the main entrance?
No, it's runs around the roof.
Oh,
It's
so
over
you,
the portico at the main entrance.
Oh,
Well, we've got-
Coming in from the parking
There's a sort
lot.
of a
It's a short rail.
Yeah.
lattice,
All right.
a lattice work on
Okay.
things.
the same pattern?
No, different pattern. So this one, I really tried to focus it on on what's on the front of the current building, the original building.
Right, gotcha. Just like
John,
you
I
were with
just
the wrought
emailed
iron.
it to you.
okay, so then let's see.
If you can forward that on to the rest of the committee.
You can just put it in that text, John, and then we'll all get it.
It's not the best, but I posted a link to a Facebook page with a photo of the entrance.
In the chat here.
Yeah, there's a link to a Facebook page, assuming you have Facebook.
Yep. Line up now. All right, I see what's out
You're
front.
not.
So that's
Oh, yeah,
PVC up
top
there.
left corner.
So the post could be the same. Oh,
I was
look.
thinking the post would be smaller.
how tall is this one?
That's what, about 36 inches?
Yeah, something like that.
There's my low-tech solution in my video.
That works.
Huggy, you could turn it into your background.
Yes, that's true.
Actually, there's a thought.
Just don't read my work email there.
Let me see if I can change my background. Video settings.
I can see it clearly on Facebook. This was, you were going to share the new entrance with what's above
Well,
it?
that's to show you the PVC being used as
Yeah.
a fence type material.
Yeah.
And it kind of looks like the traditional construction, but it's actually individual pieces, but just basically one piece.
It looks like a wood.
Ron, did you
email us
send this
all?
to me personally? Because I don't, it doesn't mean anything because my email and my phone and everything works marginally.
Just
So-
go in the chat and open the Facebook link that he sent, and you can see it perfectly.
Yeah,
Oh, John Stevens, you may not be able to because you're not in Facebook, right?
No.
well, if it's through I'm not in Facebook either, and I was able to get into it.
All right, so just try it, John. You can't distinguish it from wood, at least from this view.
I could try this.
So you could conceivably
Can you see my screen?
continue the same color.
I can see it. Yep.
So we're just looking at the new entrance, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, they're showing a picture of the proposed.
Right.
Oh,
I'm not sure who's holding that up. Ken is
That's
holding it.
Ken.
It's Ken Best.
Ken. Yeah. So it's on my monitor. Let me
Mhm.
get out of the way here.
yeah, mine doesn't show that. It just shows the new front entrance.
That's what he's showing you. The material that's on the roof of that is what he's talking about.
But
Okay,
that's a
so
pretty
not-
big, that's a pretty big diamond, right? I'm assuming the black is the see-through part.
The
Yes.
black is the see-through part. Yeah.
With the exception of the post.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, we can say if there was an objection to the diamond, we can make it some other part
Yep.
or change it up, because as long as the panels are identical from one to the other,
Can you give and maybe this isn't for this meeting, but just a ballpark, right? If the other one was 50 grand for the wrought iron, is this 10 grand, 20 grand, 5 grand, half, 25 grand?
I really don't know, but I would like to think it's in probably the 15 grand.
Yeah, okay. I'm
range.
just contemplating the ballpark.
And the iron was 50, correct?
Over 50, yeah.
Over 50, okay.
That's a very custom piece.
Yeah, it's a
And
big
The
difference.
fabrication is a lot more complicated than what this would be. They basically would be building that screen by hand out of wrought iron.
Totally get it.
So that diamond pattern that reflects the design that was going to be on the wrought iron? Or
Similar.
to it?
Very
Well, the
similar.
design was diamonds, and then there was a rectangular section with some oval shapes in it.
Mhm.
It was fairly elaborate. So I tried to simplify it a little bit, but we could look at that railing a bit more on the front of the building and see if there are some other elements. I think the current railing, there's squares across the top and squares across the bottom, or rectangles with ovals and other shapes in there. I don't remember offhand. Do you have a photograph?
This is complementary to what's there.
Yes, I
Yeah.
think it is.
Right.
Yeah. Picks up the look and feel.
So I'd like to ask the commission members what they're thinking about this idea. If they think this is a possibility or not.
I'm not opposed to it. It's a huge cost savings. I think it's still attractive. We can still mimic the look of the wrought iron that's around the windows with a similar pattern like you've shown. Yeah, just color wise, I don't know. I kind of like it here where it matches the trim work on the building. So maybe that color makes sense out front, but really need to see that perspective to weigh in on that piece.
Yeah, but Bill, this is John Morgan. I I don't have any real objections to this either. I think the design as it's being shown right here is complementary to the ironwork. I would recommend painting it the trim color. If anything, that could help even mask the units in the background because they're painted white, or they are white to begin with. As it's presented, I'm okay with it.
Okay. Betsy, how do you feel?
Yep, I agree. I think it would work for sure.
Great. Brad? Would you like to weigh in?
Sorry, okay. Yeah, no, I'm fine with it. Didn't we, several months ago, I think we had approved an actual design routes, yes, and
And that's what we had estimated, yes.
but otherwise I'm fine with it.
Pan?
Yeah, I think it's, I was looking at it on the Facebook website, but it looks very complementary to what we have right now, at least from the front side. The way that it fits. The color, I like a little bit darker, but I think, an ivory color right now, it works. It'll do.
Okay, thank you.
So can I ask a question of the group? Has everyone walked like down that sidewalk and kind of seen it? Because it is a pretty narrow window where you even see anything. And I will admit that when you do see it, it's definitely not too attractive, but it is a pretty small window. So even at 20 grand, it's still a lot of money. So I just want to asking if this committee still thinks that it's worth the 20 grand to put it up there.
It's the view from the common too, which is, the most historic part of the historic district, I would say. And it's where most people congregate.
Well,
It's pretty tough because I walked there today with my dog. I walked all over the common, and you really, you have to look hard to see it from the common itself. When you're walking down South Street and on the sidewalk, yeah, there's a little window between trees where it's definitely very apparent. And obviously, as the leaves disappear, that I can't say because there were still leaves on the trees. So once the leaves are gone, it's going to be more obvious.
Yeah, I mean, the bigger issue here is, I don't disagree. It's a relatively short viewing span to where it really stands out. But our charge for the historic district is to make sure that the views from the common are unrestricted and maintain the integrity of historic nature. So even though this is a small viewing area, if we open up the door to that, then other buildings could just say, well, okay, I'm going to put a big piece of HVAC equipment on my roof as well, and I don't have to do anything about it. It was actually a walk on the common that spurred all of this back last winter, I believe, as I recall. So that's our concern. At least the other commission members can weigh in as well. But
No, I mean I love the common. It's my favorite part of town. Obviously, that whole area, and because of the historic views that you get, no matter where you look. So I just wanted to ask.
And the guidance that we follow is it visible from a public way? So anything that's visible from a public way, the district commission has control design review over. And so even though it's only 20 feet on South Street that you can see this, it's visible from a public way.
Yep.
So that's why it's a concern, because it's visible from a public way.
And, if the leaves were up there all the time, that might be a different story, but half of the year there are no leaves up there and it's much more visible when they're gone.
Well, and that's another thing we talked about in the building committee would be if we put in some evergreens, right? Some fast growing trees at strategic locations or even up on the roof, would that solve the problem? But I know we thought that wasn't the best solution either.
That would take quite a number of years to get them that tall. I know we're trying to grow one on the common now to replace the one we lost.
I did send that email out, so hopefully people got
Saw
it.
it.
And they're kind of at least on my phone, they're nested. So that's why I didn't think I got it, but it was because Doug's email saying, are we meeting, was in there too. So it rolls them all up in a ball. So
At about 5 seconds
I got it.
ago.
I got it. Yep.
Well, I'm just trying, I agree with the rest of the commission members that it seems like a good alternative. We don't know what it's going to cost. I think I personally would like to go down and take another look at it and try to visualize what it would look like if it was that sort of beige color, like the trim, and just get a better idea of of the coloring of it. And then maybe at a meeting down the road, a few weeks or a month, we might have some more accurate idea of pricing. Does that seem feasible?
Yes. If you're asking regarding pricing, we can probably have it priced out in time for your next meeting.
Great.
Yes.
Does that seem like a sensible next step, everybody? Give us a chance to, if you want to, go down and take another look. I like the idea. I just would like to think about the color a little bit.
I think one thing for color, and Ron and Ken can maybe speak more intelligently to that than I can. But if it's dark, that will disappear. If it's a lighter color, you're going to focus on looking at the screen.
Yeah.
Rather than what's behind it.
Well, I think that depends, and Ken may have a different opinion. I think in this case, if we go with a lighter color, like an ivory, because the actual rooftop units are kind of a ivory, almost a cold tan. They're not very dark. And you also have the skyline. If you put a dark color up there, I think in this case, it would be more noticeable.
Yeah, I think so too.
So a lighter color, it would just all kind of blend together.
Yeah, I think if you go with like an ivory, like the what's on the back of the building.
The front, we got to be.
Well, you have
The window trim.
but you have the limestone,
Mhm.
the beautiful limestone colonnade at the entrance, the east entrance. You have the white windows and trim. And so between those two colors, I think that those would be the least obtrusive for this roof screen.
Yeah.
And probably the least noticeable. I
Yeah.
think a dark, see, this being a little bit heavier construction, the wrought iron was smaller members. And I think you had much more transparency through it. Whereas this is going to be slightly thicker members because of the nature of the construction, the posts, the top and bottom rails, and then the elements forming the diamond. I think it's going to be a bit of a heavier item visually, not weight-wise. But I think this in a ivory or a white would be less noticeable than painting it black.
I think I like it better. I just looked at the new front again, and it is that ivory. I think that I agree with what you're saying. I think it will kind of just run together if it's all that same color palette.
Well,
consistent with what's on the building.
and yet the roof of the slate roof of the existing library, the front of the building, well, the eastern end, excuse me, the western end. That's
Western end.
more of a gray, isn't it? So that's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking. Well, I think from a standpoint of pricing, the color isn't going to really make any difference. So let's put the actual color, let's table that until the next meeting when we get some pricing, and it'll give those of us like myself an opportunity to go down there and take a better look and think about the color.
Very good.
That's a good plan.
Everybody in the commission, are we good with that, or you want to continue to discuss this?
I'm good with it.
Okay.
Okay, so we will,
That's fine.
we'll work on this design. We will get pricing for it and come back with pricing and a rendering showing it on the building.
Right.
It may be it may be a simple elevation, or it may be a photograph with this photoshopped in.
And-
But anything we can do, and we'll do that in time for your next meeting.
Okay, wonderful.
Right, perfect.
When
Do
is
we-
our next meeting? Because it's close to the holidays.
Yep.
It could be over Christmas.
Yeah, it would be December 23rd if we held it. Oh, no, excuse me. It would be the 16th. 16th. So
So we're okay.
that still works.
What
December
about
16th?
the library?
Yes.
The members of the library committee that are present, do you feel like a report of what we discussed today is sufficient? Or do you want the HDC to come to the library meeting on December the 6th? Do you think that we've come up with a potential solution?
I think so. I think it's, John, it's just something you can present on behalf of
Okay.
the board.
Okay, as tricky as it is getting these two groups together.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay, yeah, no, that's good. Great.
And I
Okay.
think obviously the visual is going to be really important, but definitely much more palatable.
Right.
Cost wise.
And that's something, I don't know, Ron, if you can get a number before December the 6th.
I will try.
Maybe not the full, I mean, you can show the design that you showed us tonight.
Yep. Yeah.
But the price is what I think the library committee is most interested in.
Okay, we can throw some dimensions on this with some notes in terms of what the material is, how it's fabricated, how it's constructed. Get that into the hands of the general contractor and ask them to get us a price before December 6th.
Good.
And
Okay.
it'll be a ballpark estimate, but
Yeah.
it'll
Okay.
be order of magnitude.
All right. But if it's a third or significantly less than the other price, that's, I think,
Right.
that's what they want to hear, I would think.
Yes, understood.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes, thank you for all the members.
Thanks, everyone.
an elegant solution.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you very-
Beth was quiet. She didn't get to chime in.
No, I'm in agreement. I appreciate finding a more cost-effective solution that will still meet the goals. I would like to formally apologize if there was oversight of us not getting plans and materials to HTC. Sorry. And thank you for speaking up so we can make it right. We have scheduled our tentative ribbon cutting and dedication ceremony as a formality for Friday, December 17th at 11 a.m. So an invitation will be forthcoming. We hope you'll come for the ceremony and possibly a goodie bag with more celebration to follow in the spring when everything is finally all done.
Wonderful. Thank
That
you.
sounds great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good night.
Yep. Have a
Good
good night.
night.
Have a good
Good
night.
luck to
Thanks for
Josie.
coming.
Thanks.
Okay. Do you need us for the rest of the meeting, or are we set for now?
I think we're all set on.
You're off the hook.
Okay.
Thank you.
Enjoy
Well,
the
thank
rest
you
of
for
your
your
night.
time and your
Thank you,
consideration.
Gentlemen.
Good night.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Okay. So we'll discuss that again at the next meeting. And also on the agenda is the bandstand rebuilding project change order, which Paul tells us was approved by the Board of Selectmen, which is great.
Yeah, the one thing that they want to change, and actually it makes sense because we're using CPC money. We should be following the Secretary of the Interior's standards. So on the flooring, we had actually proposed Trex in the plans, which is, it's a man-made material that wouldn't have been around back when this thing was built. The recommendation was to use mahogany. Mahogany is actually cheaper than Trex. I know
Is
you
it really?
think mahogany and you think it's really expensive, but we actually use mahogany on the townhouse. All those dental moldings, the big fancy things that are up by the roof line, we had to replace a number of those, and those were all done in mahogany as well. It's very, very durable, and will last for years. So it seemed
Yeah.
like an elegant solution. We'd still use some made materials where it comes in contact with the ground, just to prevent rot, and
Right.
have it longevity. But they were fine with that. It was just the flooring that.
Yeah,
came
that's
up.
fine. That's fine. But as far as I'm concerned, anyway.
So we're in the process of having JAM provide their signatures. The town signed it today. So Andy reached out to them. They hopefully will be able to stop by tomorrow. Unfortunately, the municipal center is only open till 1 on Fridays. So I'm not 100% sure, but they'll get it signed soon, and we'll be able to move forward with that.
Do we have any idea from the folks at JAM when they think they could tackle it?
Well, yeah, they have right on the change orders. They, as soon as they have it signed, they can start, and it goes. I think the end was January 17th.
Sometime. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Be
it's
nice.
roughly a 3-month window we gave them.
Yeah.
Now the painting will, in all likelihood, go beyond that, because it'll be wintertime and they won't be able to paint.
Yeah.
But it'll be substantially complete by the middle of January.
Excellent. That's great news. It really is. The backflow preventer was also approved. evidently?
Yep, they really didn't have many questions about that at all. We did talk about it before they voted, but they didn't raise any questions on that. So the big thing that I wanted to bring up with them was the 2 MVAs that we've had up there that have taken out a number of things. I did go up and count the number of granite posts that were missing.
What are MBAs? Sorry, or MBAs or?
MVA, motor vehicle accident, sorry.
Okay, sorry.
That's all right. I didn't enunciate enough.
No, it's like you wrote that and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking. Is this like at the post? Does it have a special name?
No, so we had the DUI that took out like 3 sections of fence. I thought it was 2. It actually appears to be 3. So we have 3 sets of railings that I don't know if they've got the railings stored somewhere, but they're not anywhere around. And there's 6 posts in all, because you have the 2 that were by the east entrance that were taken out and need to be replaced. Those are more expensive because they're bigger than the other posts.
Unless they were drilled.
Yeah, and then they'll have to be drilled, so all the wiring can be put in it again.
I wonder if since they're going to do new posts, if they can't drill them through the center, since it'll be out of the ground.
That's possible. We could ask.
And guess who gets to pay for it? Charlie won't pay for the bricks, but he'll pay for this.
Yes, they will pay for that piece. But those posts, I believe, are about $1,500 each. And then the other posts, and there's 4 of those, are about $1,200 a piece. So that's roughly a little below 8,000 just in posts. Then you have the railings, of course, the installation that you have to do with that.
The railings.
The lantern needs to be, a new one needs to be built. We can separately look to see if that one can be repaired. New archway. If the other one is salvageable, perhaps it can be stored as a spare. If we can, make it so that it's usable. And then obviously the brick needs to be replaced. And the trash barrel. That was the only other thing.
Okay.
So it's probably, you're talking probably about, if I had to guess, somewhere in the vicinity of 15 grand for those repairs. But Evan agreed that that should be treated as a separate thing from the project, and that a separate funding source will come up with that. And so we'll have to hold his feet to the fire on that, because I don't want it hanging out there forever. We definitely want to try and have everything done so that we can enjoy the common next season. There's one thing that I realized I hadn't brought up before. We were talking about seeding again in the spring, which the contractor does own. Andy confirmed that. But one of the recommendations that was in the final analysis that was provided by Davey was that we aerate in the spring to help get air and loosen up the soil to help the trees. So we'll have to have a change order for that. I can't imagine that's that expensive.
No, I wouldn't think so. I'm just wondering if the town
Could even do it. They might have equipment
Parks
to do that.
have one, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah,
certainly.
so we could talk to Paul about that.
Yeah.
Figure that out.
Or I could talk to Connor O'Toole. He works for them.
Yeah, so this is John. I did notice over the weekend, I had a chance to go up, and the archways that are still standing, the conduit that's gets the electric up to the lanterns, the conduit was just pushed into those grooves that they cut out, and there was no sealant over the conduit.
Yeah, they're not done with
If
that,
they
John.
need to do that, if they need the conduit, accessible for when they install the lanterns, I wouldn't think they would, but there should definitely be some type of sealant over that conduit. Otherwise,
Yep.
those channels are going to be exposed to the weather and potentially lead to cracking, etc. So I'm not sure if that's a punch list item for Andy, but I did notice that.
He's already aware of it. I brought it up with him, I think, a month ago. We had talked about it, and I did bring it up with him. He's aware and has talked to them about it. So that's one of the things they have to finish up. They still have some fence repair. We had fence repair and bandstand repair included in this project. I haven't seen any cost savings yet on the fact that, we're doing the change order instead for the bandstand repairs. So there should be something removed to compensate us for the fact that they're not doing what was agreed to in the original. And then they haven't done anything on the fence as far as repairs. I noticed that there is a railing across from the pediatrician's office that's laying on the ground. And they certainly haven't been painted either, which my recollection, I'll have to look at the plans again, but I believe it was included.
I did notice that the bench that was over in the quadrant by the library, so the north
was set the wrong direction.
Yeah, well, it's been removed though.
They-
Couple days. So I'm wondering if they were going to reverse it, but I don't think it would be quite that simple, because I think the bolts that were in the concrete were probably in the wrong place, but there just was no bench at all. So I'm not sure.
I know Andy brought it up with them that it was put in the wrong direction. So that is probably why it's been taken out, and they are going to switch it around, because it was in the plans to go the opposite direction.
I know. And ironically, I told the guys, not the supervisor, but the workmen, the day before they put the benches in, that one was supposed to be facing out. And the next day I went down, it was not.
And they didn't do it. That's kind of understandable, but
let's see.
The other thing we should think about is how we're going to camouflage the backflow preventer. I know we've had some conversations about it, but we should try and figure that out so that can be part of our plans when we have it wrapped up in the spring.
I think it would look bad. I mean, I'd like to see the thing installed before I decide what to do about it. And is that going to be done soon, or are they going to wait till the spring to do that?
It's the same time frame. They're supposed to have it done
So
by
by
January, by middle of January, yeah.
January?
I would
Okay.
think they'd do that sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Okay.
So John, have you done any more research on troughs?
Not since the pictures I showed you at the last meeting.
I like those. I think that's a great idea with the false bottom on the trough. It's a really good idea.
I mean, I agree with Bill. I think we kind of have to see what we're up against, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, I liked those John sent, or put together for the trough, and we should definitely use that. I would be happy to do a rendering of something that we could look at if anybody
That'd be great.
did.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you. Didn't realize renderer.
I didn't know he was an artiste.
Trough
He's
artist.
got many talents.
That'd be nice.
So I had a question that I wanted to put out. We found out from our meeting with the rec department that that other little Christmas tree had been in the pot that sat in the bandstand, and they just decided to plant it there. If we leave that tree there, along with the new quote unquote town Christmas tree, that's going to be two big evergreens up on the common. And I'm not so sure that that's really a good idea. So, what does everybody think about asking the Sparks to just move that evergreen? They could plant it down at the municipal center or wherever, but that other one is gonna quickly conflict as it grows. Probably past our lifetimes, or most of us, but it's gonna conflict with the town Christmas tree. And I don't think the common ever really had evergreens on it to begin with.
I don't think so either. Not positive, but I don't think so.
Do you want to move the one that was already there as opposed to the one that was just planted?
Yeah, the little one that was planted that Jen said they just, took it out of the pot and planted it there.
Okay. Yeah,
So
I agree with that.
I didn't know, whether it had any real special meaning, but it doesn't seem like it did. It was just a tree that sat in the center of the bandstand one Christmas year.
Had them just went down with some spades and they dug a hole and they planted.
I guess so.
Pretty much.
That's what we said.
Huh.
Yeah, I agree. Having two that close together is not a look we want as they get bigger.
Yeah, I'm maybe elsewhere in the common, but I agree. I wouldn't want it right next to it.
Could the library use it as part of their planning?
I don't think so. They have a whole separate fundraising program for the landscaping. So,
Yeah, I just think we need to, we had Nick put together the, what would be appropriate trees for the
Right.
common, and other than the Christmas tree, evergreens weren't on there.
Not to mention the fact that the rec committee shouldn't just be doing that on their own. Just like, hey, let's just throw it in, let's plant it. But
I
yeah.
just see where it is. 'Cause I took some pictures like the other day. It's not the one that's right in front of the bandstand, right? Because these are much shorter. These are like
No, it's a little bit further down, Pan. If you walk straight back towards the country store, you were standing by the new Christmas tree and just walk straight like you were heading towards the country store. So heading, what is that, southbound, eastbound, northbound, whatever, I don't know.
whatever.
North.
North. It's that little evergreen that's right there. It's not much bigger than the new town Christmas tree.
Yeah, I took all the directions except for the north direction. I have a 360 view of the building too.
So it's actually slightly bigger though, John, huh? Than the one we just planted?
Just a little bit, not much, not by much.
Yeah.
But eventually, they're going to
4 or 5.
conflict with one another, and they're going to screen views into the common along 140.
Right.
So is there any other place you suppose on the common that might look okay? Or do we all agree it should be removed out of the common?
Probably should be removed.
Yeah, I don't think it's appropriate for the common.
How does everybody else feel?
Not
Brad?
strongly, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen it, but if it looks like oddly out of sight, then I'll be okay just removing it. Or if it's just gonna be in our way, you know, in the way of the business.
I have no problem with either.
Yeah, I don't have a big problem if it was moved to another section of the common. My bigger issue is two of them that close together, just, it would block the view, and it just, I don't think it would, the aesthetic wouldn't be that great.
No, I agree. I agree. I'm just wondering if maybe just moving it would be to somewhere else. But should we table it until next meeting and give us each a chance to walk down, in some.
Yeah, you can't do anything until the spring anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So-
would like to go down there. Actually,
Why don't we table it and discuss it at the next meeting? And hopefully we'll all have a chance to go down to the common and look around and, make a decision on that. A personal decision, and then we can discuss it and vote on it at the next meeting. Does that sound good?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
That
Okay.
works for me.
So
Sounds good.
I have a question about the Christmas decorations, because it's, it's just about that time, probably next week, that they're thinking about getting started. And
Yeah, we should get back to them. That's a great point, Betsy,
Yeah.
because we said we would, and we were waiting to know what was going to happen with the bandstand. So essentially, they can't do anything with the bandstand now because we're going to be working on it.
and it also had to do with if the electricity was going to be on too, right?
Which it still isn't going to be on. We
Yeah.
don't know, but we had no indication of when they're going to be doing it yet.
Yeah.
So
There may not be any lighting up there this year if the electricity doesn't get done.
right, there's not up there at all right now.
Yeah, let's see.
Is there a way to get National Grid to give us a timeline, or they're still not?
Sorry. You haven't worked with National Grid, apparently. No, they're horrible. They do it at their own pace. The best thing we could do was to make sure that we paid the amount that was required to have them do the work, which we've done. So we're in their queue, but as to when they'll be here, your guess is as good as mine. We have been placing calls trying to get them to move forward, but move at their own pace, unfortunately.
Brad or John or actually, let's see if I can find you. So I took a picture of this. I think it's a lamppost or one of the posts. I don't know if you can see it, but it's got this. It's got this cover here.
Yep.
That's got some wires exposed.
Yep.
So I looked and to see if this was the only one. And I went around. Looks
They're
like
all
it's-
like that.
Every one of them, it looks like this. It's got the green and the blue wire exposed. So I don't know. It's not electrified, so I wouldn't worry about it at this point. But
I think
It's going to be
that's
an outlet.
That's where the outlets are going to be, aren't they not?
Gonna be
It's
an
going to be
outlet, okay.
outlets. Yeah, there's no power, so you don't have to worry. And when they do power them, they'll put in the outlets and it'll be fine. There'll be a cover over them.
Jen was out walking the other day because I had brought that up as I was surprised that each one of those lampposts had that thing sticking out. So I had mentioned it to Jen. She was out on a walk the other day, and there was a little girl jumping on one.
Jumping on what?
what?
What was she jumping on, Brad?
She was jumping on the outlet that's sticking out of the lamppost.
Oh my God.
Oh god.
Real.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I mean, I hope nothing gets chewed out because these wires are very thin because they
I don't think they anticipated them being uncovered as long as they have been, but
Yeah.
hopefully National Grid will be there soon. I'll put a bug in Andy's ear again, though I know that he is still trying to get that moved along, and Paul Canoyer was.
Does he
making
still
calls,
have
too.
the town? Does he still have his town email address?
Yes, he does.
Okay.
So who wants to get in touch with Jen Anderson? You want me to do it?
No, I'll do it.
Okay.
I think it's just tell her that we're not sure if we'll have electricity or not, but if we do have electricity by that time, I'm assuming that they want to decorate. Well, they won't be able to decorate
They can't
Dancing.
decorate. No, they can't.
because it'll be under construction. So the only thing they could do if there's electricity is just the tree, the little tree, right?
They could put, you can't even really put it that close to it because they're going to be working around it. They could decorate the lamp posts if it was electrified. They could put the wreaths that we suggested on the archways, at least the 3 we have.
I was gonna say, if there is like no electricity, can they just maybe work off of like solar lights, or that's just not even an option.
You know, they might have electricity by then, who knows, but
It's next weekend, I believe, isn't it? No,
It's
it's
not,
weekend after, it's the weekend after next. It's the first weekend in December, right?
Yeah, she said
Yeah.
pretty much right after Thanksgiving. So do you think that you would still have her put up the wreaths and put garland around the lamppost just as, I mean, to be something, even if there's no electricity?
Up to them.
that's okay.
Yeah, just something.
Yep, it's totally up to them. It's just we can't decorate the bandstand because they're gonna be working on it.
It's a moving target until we know if there's going to be electricity there or not.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Have you seen the new Grafton Inn sign?
Oh,
New
yes.
sign.
Yes. Yeah, that's, I was really glad that happened. I've been after Jay to do that. I wanted the lettering to be gold as well, but I got half of what I wanted.
What happened?
The,
We painted the sign, left the black background. The letters are white, and they painted the frame. It's like a cream color, I think, or is he supposed to? Is he trying to make it look gold? I'm not sure.
the border is gold and the background is black and the lettering is white, right?
Right.
So before they had a black background with no border and they had white lettering, which is still there. And I had asked him if it would be nice to make it match the signs hanging on the side of the building, which are black background with gold lettering and a gold border. And he did the gold border, but he didn't do the gold lettering. And it was more expensive because, I mean, the white lettering didn't need to be changed. It was perfectly fine. It wasn't in bad shape. And so I think it was a cost thing.
So this is the sign on the front of the building?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it looks better than it did. I mean, it's not, to me, it's not as nice as if it had gold lettering, but
It's a definite improvement. I was curious as to whether or not you had discussed it with him, or he just went ahead and did it.
no, I've been after him for a while.
He would never do, but you know how things are.
No, I've gone down a few times and spoken with him about that. And but initially mostly about just painting the building, and which is great that that's happened. He got some money from the government, and so
Is it all finished now, the painting?
I think so.
Yeah. They're putting the last of the shutters up today.
Or they okay, yeah, because I know a couple of days ago they still needed to do that, but so
I'll have to scope it out tomorrow.
huge building to paint.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, I think so too.
That's good news.
let's see.
The
We
scaffolding.
talked a little bit, we talked a little bit last time about possibly installing bollards or something on that. I guess that would be the eastern side of the common. And I think, well, I just wonder if we need to have the traffic safety committee involved in that, or DPW, or,
Where are you
Yeah.
thinking of positioning them?
where we had the car hit the,
Yeah, if you're
Oh.
gonna be in the street outside of the common, then definitely. The alternative, because yeah, you could do that, but that won't prevent, what happened on the other side, away from the entrance, unless you're gonna put bollards across the whole side,
I know,
which I
I
would be totally against. I think what may be more
We need signage.
practical would be to protect that electrical panel that is sitting there, potential target. That would be quite bad if that got hit.
yeah, so I think you need a bollard for that, and then you need several more, maybe 2 or 3 others, but and I think we need some signage, maybe up 140 towards the library and somewhere in between, maybe the inn and the library, but that would have to be the police and the traffic
Yeah.
safety people.
Yeah, you'd have to present that to them, petition them for it. And I'm not, I mean, it's a dangerous intersection, we all know
Mm.
that, but that wouldn't have prevented what happened to the archway. You could have as much signage as you want. If you're asleep, you're not going to see it.
Well, I mean, there are other possibilities, like you have
Rumble strip or
I
something
wouldn't want a
somewhere.
speed bump, but
A rumble strip might not be a bad
yeah,
idea.
a rumble strip. That's what I was thinking. Something that if you were asleep, maybe it would wake you up. We can have that discussion with them, I guess.
Whatever we talk about with regards to trying to protect the electrical panel, I think we gotta have a discussion on how best to screen that, because, it looks like a UFO landed on the common. They didn't even go with a green one. They went with a bright, nice, shiny stainless steel.
Yeah.
So it
Yes, they
sticks out like a sore thumb. So we should have a discussion of screening and protecting, not just protecting. Because if the best solution is a bollard similar to what you see over at the library, or what's at the fire station, that's going to be pretty darn ugly.
Well, it doesn't have to be yellow, though.
Yeah, there's all
But
different kinds of
regardless,
bollards. You can get,
a bollard is not an attractive piece of equipment that you want on a historic common. So we're going
But
to
you
want to
get-
have some type of screening for not only the panel, but the safety solution as well, if indeed it's, a bollard type structure.
some of the bollards you can see out there have some architectural interest to them. They make them look kind of old fashioned looking. I've definitely seen those around the White House. In fact, they have
Yeah,
ones like
black
that.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, it wouldn't have to be bright. It could be green or black or something.
Yeah.
And the phone pole actually partially blocks that panel, so you'd probably just need one bollard there, and then I think you might want to put a couple others right where the car came in. I think it's more likely that happens again right there than where the previous accident where the drunk kids. I think that's less likely. They obviously were trying to go up South Street, and the vast majority of the traffic does not go that way.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I don't think we need to put bollards there, but why don't we, again, if we can go down the next month sometime, each of us, and just walk it and look it over and just think about what we like.
My only thought is all the solutions on the street, that's not going to be part of the scope of the project that we're doing right now. But the protecting of the electrical panel certainly could be, to put a bollard or two in there to protect that, and maybe some screening. Because I do agree with John, it certainly doesn't look very historic.
Yeah, a couple of bushes maybe. Okay, so we will discuss that at the next meeting. I've got my brother calling through here.
While we're sitting here, I didn't write down all the names of the folks from the library. So John Stevens, can you help
Yep.
me? How do you spell Ron's last name? PLO or?
I'll have to look that one up.
Okay. You can just email it to me later. That's
Okay.
fine. So I had him, Ken Best, Beth Galloway, and then I forget his name, the gentleman with the dark hair that's on the committee.
Bowman, Doug Bowman.
Bowman.
Doug Bowman.
Doug
I'm trying
Bowman.
to think.
That's BOWMEN.
M-A-N, Doug
M-A-N.
Bowman.
Bowman. And then there
And
was
we-
one other woman that was there that I didn't get her name.
Julie Grace.
Julie Grace.
Julie Price, Grace.
Julie Grace.
And actually, Ron had sent an email, so I have his spelling of his name,
Oh, awesome.
which is Paolillo.
I was close. I only had one L on the second set of L's. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Do we have any other topics?
I'm amazed at the scaffolding on the Universalist Church there, Unitarian Church.
UUSGU. Unitarian Universalist Church of Grafton. and
So
Upton.
what are they replacing some of the, they're repairing the roof and putting the weather vane back up? Is that what?
Yeah, they got to put the weather vane back up, and then when it came down, it did damage to the roof along the steeple and on the front lower down as well. So the only way to get up there was with all this scaffolding. It was all covered by their insurance. They told me it was like $40,000 or $50,000 for this work that they're having done.
It's
Thank God
beautiful.
for the insurance. Yeah. Yeah, scaffolding is nice.
Yeah.
How else would they get up there? It's too tall for a lift. It would have been cheaper if they could have got up there with a lift. I wonder if one of those super ones would have been able to get up there. They do have some really tall ones. Remember they
Need a
had one that
crane. See a crane in Grafton.
I've seen too many incidents where the cranes tip over.
Tip over.
Yeah.
I mean, the kind that they have like in New York or
Yeah, those huge-
Boston.
Oh yeah, those huge things.
The big. I just to so say something else about Chronicle. They did show Grafton this past week, and they did have a little bit of, and I don't know when they filmed, but there was no yellow tape on the bandstand, so I was very pleased.
Yeah, I don't know when. Maybe they took it down so they could do
Yeah,
the filming.
No, but it was a nice story on Grafton.
Yeah, it was. I unfortunately missed the beginning of it. I did see it later, but
Well, I
came
watched
in
it like on, if you went to WCVB, it just had like you just got each little piece, each segment. You just could click
cool.
on it the day that it aired.
yeah, it was really nice. They showed Holden Farms. They showed Pecorinos.
Mhm.
Trying to remember the other stuff they showed. They showed the Common.
They did the antique store behind
Oh
it.
yeah, Antiques on the Common. Yep. Oh, and then they showed
With our-
Reunion Tap and Table because they had interviewed them before for Wicked Pretzels. So they went back and then they did a thing on Reunion.
The
So
restaurant.
it looks like we lost Bill.
There he's back.
There we go.
You working again?
Sorry about that.
Okay.
So I missed the last 5 or 10 minutes. Do we discuss anything that I need to know about?
We're just talking about the Chronicle show on Grafton that was on this week.
Oh, nice. They had a little bit of the common.
A little bit at the beginning, yep.
Yep.
Then they focused on several businesses, so it was nice.
Yeah, good.
Definitely made Grafton look like a farming community. You had that total vibe, but
Very bucolic.
yes.
I love how that guy Terrian said, yeah, there's not any crime that I know of.
Except for people on the common busting down the fence.
Yeah. Anyway, I've got to go help my brother do something, so I think I'm gonna wrap it up if that's okay with you. Is there anything
It's
else?
good. I'm starving. Gonna have some dinner. It doesn't
Yeah.
look like I'm starving, but probably in reality, I'm really not, but I'm hungry.
Well, I entertain a meeting to adjourn, a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Okay.
Second.
John? Morgan?
Which,
Yes, aye.
Paul?
Aye,
Betsy?
8:27.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Pan.
Aye.
Okay, and myself also, aye. So I declare the motion carried and we adjourn at 8:20.